Hi, gang, it's Adam.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's episode, we celebrate Disney's Animal Kingdom's 22nd anniversary by listing our Fab Five faves in the park. As always, we cover the latest Disney news and close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Patrick Luann Kazuki.
Ooh, Adam Harambe Hummel.
How on theme for today's episode.
I cooked that one up especially for you.
I love the alliteration, too. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm great. I don't know what day it is, what time it is, where I am, but I'm doing great.
Weekends have no meaning anymore, do they?
No, it's like on Downton Abbey. What on earth is a weekend?
What's a weekend?
It's very true. It's very true. I think we've gone back to Downton Abbey times, actually. Like I'm bartering flour for fabric. It's a weird time, Adam.
I'm in a corset daily.
Well, that's no change for you then.
Just a cinch in the waist, keep things right and tight.
I like it. I like it.
Well, we should let our listeners know, Patrick, that we are recording remotely once again, as if they doubted that.
It's true. It's true.
That means you may hear some weird clicks and beeps or Penny barking in the background or whining.
Yeah, for our listener who tuned in to last week's episode, I sounded a little bit like a Westworld character, maybe with some glitches. I was having a little bit of a microphone malfunction last week, so hopefully we've got it fixed for this week. We'll find out, I guess, when we edit.
Analysis, Patrick.
Hi, Adam. How are you today?
That's so good. Is that you, Dolores?
I wish.
Yeah, she's perfect. She's perfect. Well, we have a couple of listener shout-outs we need to make this week, Patrick. We have to give a shout-out to Drew, who you can find on Instagram at DrewCaldwell86. Drew posted to his Instagram stories and mentioned that we were helping him get through this pandemic lockdown.
Oh, how sweet.
Very sweet. So thank you for listening, Drew. We also heard from Kathy, who you can find on Instagram at runner with one N, runnergirl35. Kathy says, I'm a teacher and have been struggling to reach my students remotely. They know how much I love Disney. I miss them and miss sharing Disney magic with them. She also went on to say, Patrick, I did my Run Disneys at Disneyland, my home park. Hope they bring them back someday.
I hope that for you as well. I hope that for everybody.
Absolutely. And we need to say thank you, Kathy, and thank you to all the teachers out there who are doing their very best under some really extraordinary circumstances right now.
Yeah, I imagine being a teacher is in itself a very difficult task. And under these circumstances, I imagine they are dealing with some complications. So I applaud all of our teachers out there right now who are trying to make it work.
Yes, to all the teachers out there, thank you so much for everything you're doing right now to keep the kids educated and to keep them busy, quite frankly, because I would imagine without you, they would be lost.
I feel like we should sing now. I believe the children are our future.
I don't know the words to the next part except the lead the way part.
Fair enough. Maybe we should move on then instead.
So thank you, Kathy, and thank you, Drew, for reaching out to us.
We have some more thanks to give, Adam. We have not one, but two new Patreon members to welcome to our Patreon family.
2 whole new Patreon members. I couldn't be more excited.
So exciting. We have Nate and Daniel, who just last week joined our Patreon family. For those who don't know, we do have a Patreon page that you can find by going to gaysdothed.com and clicking on that donate button. And for as little as $1 recurring a month, you will have access to extra perks from Gays Do the D, such as our additional episodes called Gays Do the D Raw and Uncut.
Raw and uncut?
Oh, a question at the end of that one.
Like maybe. We don't know.
Who can say? Who can say? And of course, all of the money that is donated into our Patreon page goes directly back into Gays Do the D programming to just sort of help us keep the lights on here at Gays Do the D. I would say we use it to purchase toilet paper, but everyone knows that we can't buy that right now.
I need you to know, Patrick, I have a trunk full of toilet paper. By that, I mean my car trunk, not my,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, listen. Both can be true, Adam. Both can be true.
But I do have a trunk full of toilet paper. I haven't been hoarding it. I just happened to go to Target one morning and there was a beautiful package of 12 rolls right in front of me. So I grabbed it. So Patrick, if you need toilet paper, you know who to reach out to.
I've never been more turned on, Adam.
I have all the power. Never had so much power. Well, thank you, Nate and Daniel. We appreciate you joining the Patreon family. And if both of you are single and gay, maybe we can make something happen here.
Yes, we are also a dating service on our Patreon page.
So let us know your likes, your dislikes, and we'll see if it's a match.
We would be the worst matchmakers in history.
I feel like their current dislike is this podcast.
This episode, at least.
Yeah, they're like, I regret becoming a Patreon member.
Yeah, we're going to see a removal of both of their memberships in about 10 minutes.
Well, Patrick, I just can't go on with the episode. I can't do it because I am laden with guilt. I am ashamed to admit that in last week's episode, I made a big boo-boo, so I have a sorry about it to make.
Before you disclose what this boo-boo is, I feel like this boo-boo has been made 3 or 4 times on this podcast.
It is GDTD canon at this point. And I'm just going to apologize for it now, and then I'm just going to move on. And if it happens again in the future, you know what? I'm just going to let it slide because it is a recurring thing now. It's just part of what I am.
That's right. It's GDTD propaganda.
That's right. So on last week's episode, we somehow referred to Escape to Witch Mountain and Return to Witch Mountain. Oh, I know what it was. It was because you brought up Watcher in the Woods as an anniversary, right?
Correct.
And you mentioned that Kyle Richards is in Watcher in the Woods, right?
Correct.
And I said, oh, Kyle Richards, of course. She's in Halloween, which is true. But then I also said she's in Escape to Witch Mountain and Return from Witch Mountain. But that's actually Kim Richards, her sister.
Yes, they were both child actors, but in very different movies.
Regardless, I'm sorry about it.
You should be, Adam. I am not sorry for not correcting you, though, in the moment. I just let you tell a lie and let America hear it. So, not sorry about that.
I appreciate you exposing me for what I truly am.
That's what we do here at Gays of the D. We're an expose tabloid magazine now.
But just for each other?
Yes.
So I'm so sorry about that. I really feel terrible about it. I would like to personally apologize to Kyle Richards and Kim Richards, and then tangentially their sister Kathy Hilton, who I had no idea. Kathy Hilton is their sister?
She deserves an apology as well, I think.
To all 3 of those stunning, wealthy women, 2 of whom appear on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, don't they, Patrick?
That is correct.
I would just like to say I'm sorry. Kyle, Kim, Kathy, KKK, oh dear.
And I would like to say to them, you can find our Patreon page at gaysdothed.com and click on donate.
Right. How do we get that Hilton money?
I think we just did. I think they're clearly listening right now.
I have a feeling that's going to come with like a request, though. Like Paris is going to have to be on the podcast then. And she's going to be like, Disney's so hot.
Disney's hot.
It's so hot.
Well, we're running out of ideas here at Gays of the D, so I'm fine with that. Well, moving on, Adam, from Paris Hilton and our lovely, lovely impersonations of her, we had some listener feedback this past week. As our listeners may remember, last week we did a walk in the park with the second half of Epcot, going from the American Pavilion through the Mexico Pavilion. And we had listener Kristen, who is on Instagram, Kristen_enchanted, write in. And she says, great episode, but it really made me miss Epcot even more. I can't wait to get a Winnie the Pooh margarita when it comes back up.
Yeah, reflecting on what we did last week, Patrick, that was kind of just a really vicious tease we did. Like, here's everything you can't experience right now in the second half of World Showcase.
It's true. It's true. We sort of like dangled a carrot in front of people and nobody could grab it.
We also heard from Daniel, who you can find on Instagram at DancoDirect. And going back to GDTD canon, Patrick, this has basically been brought up on the past 3 episodes. I think it started with our take 2 of Mulan 2 episodes ago, and then we brought it up in our questions and Peter Pantsers, and then it came up in last week's episode of our second half of World Showcase, A Walk in the Park. Daniel says, thank you for the shout out in last week's episode. I loved it. Such improvement on the Mandarin pronunciation, Patrick.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to give us that pronunciation one more time? You've nailed it now.
Now I'm nervous, but it's it's Hua.
You got it. Hua. And then Daniel goes on to say, now that German pronunciation, though, referring to my German pronunciations from the Germany Pavilion, I thought they were spot on. So I don't know what Daniel's talking about.
Well, I have another friend, Daniel, who actually does live in Germany, and he did not bring it up to me. So I think you're fine. Or he was so offended that he simply erased it from his mind.
He had to seek therapy. He was so affected by it. Well, thank you so much, Kristen and Daniel, for your thoughts on last week's episode, A Walk in the Park Part 2.
Moving on, Adam, I'd like your feedback on something that happened this past week, the Disney Family Singalong on ABC. Did you watch it?
I did watch it, and I actually was very pleasantly surprised by it.
Me too. I teared up a couple of times. I thought it was really well done.
For those that weren't able to catch it, it originally aired on Thursday, April 16th, as Patrick said, on ABC, but you can now watch it. It's available on Hulu. And it was hosted by Ryan Seacrest and featured performances by Christina Aguilera and Michael Bublé and Auli'i Cravalho and Luke Evans and Josh Gad and Jordan Fisher, a whole slew of people kind of connected to Disney, right, Patrick?
Absolutely. I really loved Auli'i's performance. She nailed it. And you could tell that she didn't pre-record it either. You could hear like the breaths in the microphone and everything. I was super, super impressed by her. Some of the other performers, I have to believe, did pre-record those, which is fine. I'm not here to judge you, but she nailed it on that take. It was great.
I am here to judge you, other performers. I just want you to know that. I think you're absolutely right, Patrick. Auli'i, to me, was like, she just perfectly encapsulated the spirit of Moana, because she is Moana, right? But like the joy on her face, like you sincerely believe what she is selling. And you're absolutely right. She was performing that live and she sounded incredible. In fact, you know, we kind of dug into her just a bit on the Little Mermaid live because, you know, she was having some pitch issues during that performance. But man, in this performance of How Far I'll Go from Moana, she sounded beautiful.
She really encapsulated everything that I love about Disney. Like it was simple, it was beautiful, it was lovely, it was joyful, and it wasn't over-manufactured or overly manufactured.
Everything you said just now was absolutely perfect, Patrick. You're absolutely right. Like she was joy. She was joy. And she was that Disney spirit that we all love, right? And it just kind of reminded us of what we feel when we go to the parks and what we feel when we watch those movies. Auli'i, we love you.
Yes, we do love you. Now, moving on to flip the script a little bit, Ariana Grande, I had some questions about. I don't know if she was advertising for an adult phone line or what was happening there. It was not cute, though. I was not into it.
Let me just say this. I thought she sounded fantastic. It was pre-recorded.
Yes.
But I thought she sounded amazing. I totally get what you're saying with like the look of the video.
Yeah, it was very inappropriate. It was not on brand with Disney at all.
Matthew is absolutely obsessed with that. In fact, he's been going back and watching that over and over and over again.
Oh, really? That's funny. It didn't strike the right chord with me. It just felt a little, I don't know, pushed. It was the opposite of everything that Auli'i did.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought she sounded great. What struck me as so funny was like her intro to it. She was like, "Hi, I can't be bothered. I love Alan Menken. Here's I Won't Say I'm in Love from Hercules."
Yeah, it was weird. It was not it was not genuine or something. I don't know. I wasn't into it. But she did sound pretty great.
What'd you think of that opening number with Derek and Julianne Hough?
It was something. It was something that happened.
Oh, I loved it. I totally loved it.
I didn't dislike it. It was funny. I was not expecting it, I think, is what the thing was. I was just like, oh, okay, here we are. It did set the tone for sure.
Yeah, I was just shocked by like the amount of time that probably went into planning that, because they would have just had to have like moved iPads or whatever kind of recording devices to get those shots and those angles. And the cups thing was like a magic trick on screen. I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah, they are without a doubt two very talented human beings.
And those costumes, where did those come from?
Those costumes, they have them just lying around.
It's a role-playing costume for them.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what else I appreciated was how shiny everyone was.
Very highlighted.
Yeah, we've seen now how celebrities really look in their homes, or when they try to do their own makeup, what the result is.
Yeah, for sure. That was one thing that did strike me a little bit. And I know I have to believe a lot of them sort of tried to downplay the enormous mansions that they live in for real.
Yeah.
And so they were recording in like a little tiny corner of their home, so they weren't bragging about where they lived and like were quarantined in mansions instead of apartments and small houses. So it was pretty funny.
So many cavernous kitchens.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Why does everyone have a video recorder set up in their kitchen?
Kristen Chenoweth's kitchen is the size of my house.
No, hers is actually quite small, I think. I saw a video of her cleaning her kitchen for quarantine, like she was disinfecting it, and she was able to kind of jump around that kitchen quite quickly. So I believe she's in a relatively respectable sized apartment.
Fair enough. Maybe it's because she's so tiny that her kitchen looks so big.
That's it. It's proportions.
Proportionizing.
Well, as we said, it's available now on Hulu, and it sounds like we were both very pleasantly surprised by it, Patrick. I really, truly enjoyed myself watching it.
Oh, absolutely. Same here. I had such a good time with it. I was sending the link to all of my friends and family to join in on the watching party. It was a lot of fun.
Also airing last week was a live stream of the November 2019 Celebrating 25 Magical Years of Disney on Broadway concert. The live concert was held at the New Amsterdam Theater and raised $570,426 for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. The live stream aired Friday, April 17th, and it was a fundraiser again for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS COVID-19 Emergency Assistance Fund. It was hosted by Frozen on Broadway's Ryan McCartan from his family's basement, where he interviewed Disney on Broadway stars from their respective homes throughout the evening. And there was so much Disney on Broadway talent on the stage, Patrick. What did you think of the concert?
I thought it was fun. I'm glad that I got to see it because I really wanted to go to the concert when it was happening for real. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to, not because it wasn't amazing. I'm sure it was amazing live in the moment while you're there, but there's something that doesn't quite translate sometimes when you're on stage and the sound and everything. That being said, it was really fun. I really liked it. I recommend people go and watch it. I believe you can still watch it on YouTube, but the quality, I think, just didn't quite translate, but that's nobody's fault. You know, that just is what it is.
I totally agree, Patrick. There's just something about recording a live performance like that that doesn't work when it's on stage. I mean, like if it's a structured recording, like let's say a recording of Into the Woods starring Bernadette Peters, right? Like a lot of theater people have seen that recording where they can do multiple takes. That's a different story. But when it's like just a live kind of 3-camera setup, something doesn't work when it's a live kind of Broadway performance or concert.
Right. And I think that's just part of the magic of theater, that you have to be there. It's such an intimate experience that really is hard to translate in mass via video camera.
There was one highlight, in my opinion, and that's when the backup singers came out as the muses. Did you see this, Patrick?
I did, yeah.
And they sang Zero to Hero from Hercules.
Mm-hmm.
And the audience kind of lost their mind. And that was like, my ears perked up. I was completely invested in that performance. But the rest of the concert, I was entertained, I guess, but I just didn't feel the connection, like you said, that you would feel watching it live.
Yeah, there was something about it that just wasn't quite as captivating as I wanted it to be. But that being said, again, I applaud all of them for making it happen. I'm so grateful that we did get to see it. And I'm sure, again, live and in person, it was a million times better than it was watching it from our tiny computer screens at home.
Well, if you'd like to catch the concert, as Patrick mentioned, we believe it's still on YouTube. You can check it out there. Or if you'd like to make a donation, you still can. You can donate directly to Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS COVID-19 Emergency Assistance Fund. Patrick, how can they do that?
You can go directly to BroadwayCares.org, O-R-G.
And speaking of live streams, Patrick.
Yes?
Is there something you want to tell us about live streaming?
Wow, you make it sound very offensive when you say it that way.
Live streaming.
So I've been chatting with one of our friends, Ben, who is one of the co-hosts of the UK pod, Once Upon a Scream. He and I have decided to do a live Instagram broadcast next week on Friday. I believe it's going to be at 2 p.m. Central Time, which I think is 8 p.m. in the UK. And we're just going to have some Disney chat. We might do a little Disney quiz. We might watch, who knows, an episode of DuckTales live and talk about it. It'll just be a fun time, something to do, something to cross-promote each other and to keep our listeners entertained and busy.
That is the kind of entertainment we need at this very moment, Patrick.
Yes, the world is waiting for me to be live on Instagram.
They have been asking for it, and you have decided to bless them with your appearance.
That's right. That's right. We are delivering here at Gaze Do the D and at Once Upon a Scream.
Well, I know we're all super excited to watch you live, Patrick. Patrick Live.
Patrick Live. Patrick and Ben live and in person. I'm sure we'll do sort of a post about it maybe on our Instagram. I'll do one on my Instagram. But you will want to follow at Upon a Scream. I believe Ben is going to be hosting from that profile.
Before we head into the news, we just want to mention once again that Crooked Media has established the Coronavirus Relief Fund, where your donation will be distributed equally to help groups providing critical support to those who need it most. To make a donation, visit gazetothed.com and click on the Coronavirus Relief tab at the top of the screen. Patrick, they've now raised $1.6 million.
Absolutely amazing.
And they're now offering through their merch store a 3-pack of masks for $20 with all proceeds going to the relief fund.
It's true. I made my purchase last week. Hopefully they'll arrive any day now.
I made my purchase too, Patrick. We can be twinsies.
Yay.
The masks are actually super cute. There's one that says vote, vote, vote all over it. There's one that says support relief workers.
It's true. And there's an aggressive one that says this could have been prevented, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure how often I'll be wearing that one, but we'll see.
It is a bold statement for sure. But you know what? I think we're in a time right now where we need to take some bold actions.
You mean a bold action like talking about Disney news?
That is the boldest of actions I can come up with right now.
Let's do it, everyone. Let's take a stand and march boldly on into the news.
We're so brave here at Gaze Do the D. As per our new normal, Adam, we will start with some COVID news as it relates to Disney. Last week, Disney World reached an agreement regarding its 43,000 union cast members who were furloughed on April 19th. Some of the key points from the union agreement are everyone's job, seniority, wage rate, and benefits are guaranteed through the furlough, even if you stay on furlough after Disney reopens. Seniority continues indefinitely beyond 12 months. Everyone who has insurance will keep it for the duration of the furlough, up to 12 months, including both full-time workers as well as part-time workers who qualify under the Affordable Care Act. Insurance encompasses all benefits like medical, dental, life, etc., with no exceptions. Disney will pay 100% of insurance. No back payments will be owed upon return to work. For insurance eligibility and pension contributions, full-time workers will be credited 40 hours per week during the furlough. Part-time workers will get credit for their weekly average hours worked since October 2019. If you are in a job that requires certain skills or proficiencies, the company cannot say you lose them. A small group of less than 200 workers will do essential duties during the closure. The work will be offered to volunteers by seniority. If not enough people volunteer, the work will be assigned to the least senior workers. If you have health, safety, childcare, or other reasons you cannot work, you will not be forced to work and you will not be penalized. If any worker covered by Disney Insurance needs COVID-19 testing, Disney Insurance will pay for it. The Actors Equity Association, which represents equity actors and theater performers, has also reached an agreement with Disney. Based on the agreement, 800 actors and theater performers will maintain health insurance benefits coverage, educational support, and additional employee assistance. Moving on, Disney cast members in Florida have staged an at-home protest of the state's government due to the unreliable employment website. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis responded in a press conference that the state is, quote, open to auto-enrolling the furloughed cast members, but they wouldn't get, quote, a special place in line. Not to get too political here, Adam, but you know what? Here we are. What's especially about this is that the unemployment website is both confusing and unreliable, and Florida pays an unemployment maximum total of $275 a week, which is among the lowest in the nation. However, the Federal CARES Act will provide an additional $600 a week bonus through July 31st, but only for those who have successfully registered as unemployed.
You know what else is confusing and unreliable? Ron DeSantis.
Oh boy, are you ever correct. I know that we try to stay away from politics here on Gaze of the D. We don't want to sort of make anyone uncomfortable, but I think it can be assumed that we are all angry about this right now, and it is so unfair to all of the workers who are in need right now, especially in Florida, who are going through a very tough time.
Absolutely. I understand not wanting to give preferential treatment to any one field of work, but when Florida relies so heavily on tourism and so heavily on Disney, it kind of seems like a no-brainer that you would want to make those employees as comfortable as possible, as quickly as possible, so that when things get back to normal, they're able to go back to work as quickly as possible.
Well said, Adam. Well said. Moving on with some more financial news with Disney. Early last week, the Walt Disney Company entered into another credit agreement for $5 billion, which gives the company up to $13 billion in credit if needed. The agreement was with Citibank, which matures on April 9th, 2021, but can be extended with approval from the lender. This is now the third credit agreement that Disney has signed in the last month. This is all in an attempt to increase their access to cash while the parks are closed and no money is coming in from movie theater ticket sales, which will be needed if they want to open the parks quickly when the time comes.
I received the same amount in credit.
Is that right?
Yeah. I'm very liquid. Is that the right phrase? I'm so liquid.
That is really upsetting to hear right now, Adam. Well, moving on to some more fun closure and cancellation news. Oh boy, I need a drink. Disney Cruise Line has canceled Disney Magic Mediterranean sailings through June 7th. Cirque du Soleil has cleared all Drawn to Life performances from their calendar through June 2nd. All Disneyland Grad Night 2020 parties are canceled through June 13th. Gay Days Orlando will be rescheduling its 30th anniversary event from June 1st through June 8th, 2020 to October 27th through November 2nd, 2020, renaming it Gay Days Halloween. Disney and Pixar's Soul has been given a new release date of November 20th, 2020, and Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon has been moved to a March 12th, 2021 release date. And lastly, in this very depressing segment, Adam, California Governor Gavin Newsom said in a press release, quote, "The prospect of mass gatherings is negligible at best until we get to herd immunity and a vaccine." He went on to say more specifically that large gatherings in June, July, or August were unlikely, which I believe means we won't be seeing an opening of Disneyland in the near future.
Or if it does happen, it would be to such a limited amount of guests, right?
Yeah, I believe if they do reopen this summer or later this summer, it will likely be a very, as you said, limited experience. And it basically won't be the same as it was, right? I think that's just where we are right now, that things are going to change.
I want to go back to Gay Days Orlando because I think this change might actually benefit them. If there's one thing the gay community loves, it's throwing on a barely there costume, and they're just inviting that now.
Yeah, this is going to be the gayest experience that's ever happened. And we have a gay Disney podcast that's pretty gay. Then this is going to be so much more gay than that. Well, Adam, let's end on an uplifting moment for this news story. Disney World has donated a massive supply of Parks treats to the City of Orlando Police Department in support of their service. Among the treats donated were Main Street popcorn bags and Frozen-themed crispy treats. The treats were delivered on pallets full of boxes, and the Orlando Police Department responded with a tweet containing a video of the treats and a message saying, "Wow, thank you, Disney Parks, for the support. We will definitely enjoy these treats and share it with our family and the community. We are in this together."
That's so sweet.
It's really cute. It's just another example of what Disney does so well in creating these magic moments with something so simple as donating some popcorn. You know what I mean?
I'm going to take another run at that, Patrick. That's so sweet.
Oh, dear. Okay, I hear what you're saying now.
Did that not register with you?
It didn't. It was so subtle, I almost didn't notice your joke.
I am not a religious man, Patrick.
Okay.
But I know that Catholics proclaim he is risen on Easter Sunday, and now I know who he is.
Oh, I'm so nervous for where you're going with this.
In an Easter Sunday, April 12th article, the New York Times spoke with Bob Iger about how the COVID-19 pandemic has forced him to reassume control of parts of the title he left behind when making the announcement he would become executive chairman of the Walt Disney Company, with Bob Chapek replacing him as CEO. Entitled, "Bob Iger Thought He Was Leaving on Top, Now He's Fighting for Disney's Life," the article states that, quote, Mr. Iger is now intensely focused on remaking a company that will emerge, he believes, deeply changed by the crisis. The sketch he has drawn for associates offers a glimpse at the post-pandemic future. It's a Disney with fewer employees, leading the new and uncertain business of how to gather people safely for entertainment, end quote. In an email to the Times, Iger stated, quote, "A crisis of this magnitude and its impact on Disney would necessarily result in my actively helping Bob Chapek and the company contend with it, particularly since I ran the company for 15 years, end quote. The article goes on to state that, quote, Mr. Iger also sees this as a moment, he has told associates, to look across the business and permanently change how it operates. He told them that he anticipates ending expensive old school television practices like advertising upfronts and producing pilots for programs that may never air. Disney is also likely to reopen with less office space. He's also told two people that he anticipated the company having fewer employees. It's important to note, however, that Mr. Iger said in an email on Sunday evening that he had no recollection of ever having said that he expected a smaller workforce. Regardless, any decision about staff reductions, Iger said, will be made by my successor and not me. So Bob Iger, Patrick, kind of stepping up and kind of reclaiming some of his role to help Disney through this crisis.
Yeah, that was a very interesting article with some, I don't want to say frightening thoughts, but confusing thoughts. Do you know what I mean? It's such a weird time right now, but I respect him so much and I believe in his leadership that I'm glad that he's still around and sort of taking the reins back, as it were.
Yeah, I'm curious whether this is him truly wanting to help the company or maybe kind of help ensure that his legacy is maintained as it was had this not happened. I'm sure it's a little bit of both.
And it remains to be seen what kind of leader Bob Chapek will prove to be. But I feel like this is maybe not the time for new leadership right now. It's sort of the time to, as I'm saying that in my head, I'm like, oh, the president. It is time for new leadership. But when it comes to Disney, I feel like they are going to rely heavily on someone who knows the ins and outs of the company as well as Bob Iger does.
That's right. It's a different story when there's someone competent in a leadership role, right?
Boy, we are campaigning hard on this episode of Gaze to the D.
We had a really funny DM from Tweedledee JJ, who you can find on Instagram at jsquare3. He referred to this whole scenario as Bob Chapek is Conan O'Brien and Bob Iger is Jay Leno, basically like stepping back into his late night role, saying, I don't want to give up my show.
It's the late night wars all over again. Run Disney fans got some exciting news this past week. After the cancellation of the 2020 Star Wars Rival Run weekend, all upcoming Run Disney events were put on hold with no confirmed registered dates. Dates were finally confirmed for registration, and this past Thursday, April 16th, registration went live for the Run Disney virtual series. As we previously reported, the theme for this series is fan favorite Walt Disney World Resort attractions. The remaining registration dates for the 2020-2021 season are May 7th for annual pass holders, DVC members, and Golden Oak residents pre-sale for the Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend, and May 12th for the general sales for the Marathon Weekend. June 11th will be the pre-sale date for the Disney Princess Half Marathon Weekend, and June 16th will be the general on-sale date. Lastly, August 6th will be the pre-sale date for the 2021 Star Wars Half Marathon Weekend, and August 11th will be the general on-sale date. So here's what I'd like to add. I'm super pumped about this. Obviously, all this may change, but it's nice to have something to look forward to. But one thing that sort of irked me and a lot of our international listeners is that at the last moment, Disney changed the virtual series to be only for people in the United States. So all of my international friends were excluded from being able to participate unless they used my home address as their home address. I'm not saying that's what happened, but it may have. Disney, please don't sue me for doing that.
What are they trying to save in doing that? Are they just trying to not ship medals internationally?
Yeah, I think they're probably just trying to cut out some of the logistics nightmares that they might go through, knowing that they have very limited people working right now on the Run Disney team. But it's still, I think, left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
And all of those people now currently live with you?
Yes, we basically had a overnight engagement and marriage, and now I have 37 people living in my basement.
Get ready for Baby Yoda to spill the tea on what a Amy Sedaris was on set.
Oh, no.
It's going to be juicier than a Mandalore desert frog. You know what I'm saying, Patrick?
How long did you work on that?
A new behind-the-scenes documentary series is coming to Disney Plus just in time for Star Wars Day. Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, will offer a look at the making of the first season of The Mandalorian and will be hosted by series creator and showrunner Jon Favreau. Each of the 8 episodes of the docuseries will explore a different facet of The Mandalorian through interviews, never-before-seen footage, and roundtable conversations. According to an April 15th, 2020 Deadline article, topics will include the legacy of George Lucas's Star Wars, how the cast brought the characters to life, the series' groundbreaking technology, the artistry behind the show's practical models, effects, and creatures, plus the creative influences, the iconic score, and connections to Star Wars characters and props from across the galaxy. Of the docuseries, Favreau said, quote, Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, is an opportunity for fans of the show to take a look inside and get to see a different perspective and perhaps a greater understanding of how The Mandalorian came together and some of the incredibly talented contributors throughout season 1. We had a great experience making the show, and we're looking forward to sharing it with you, end quote. Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, will premiere on Disney Plus on Monday, May 4th, 2020. Patrick, I'm really excited for this. As I've mentioned before on previous episodes of the podcast, I love a behind-the-scenes look, much like the Imagineering story, much like they're going to be doing with prop culture. So I'm really excited for this series.
For sure. I love sort of a backstage look at things like that. And what a fun date for it to come out on. May the 4th be with you.
Pew, 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 pew. Do you remember how Brain in Gremlins 2 sounded? Do you remember he had like an English accent?
Oh my gosh, what?
That's how I envision Baby Yoda sounding.
Oh, got it.
I want him to be interviewed. I want him to have like a very classic English accent. I want him to bring up the fact that he went to like the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. I want it to be like he's an English actor who has landed in a very American series.
100%. He's basically Ian McKellen.
Baby Yoda is Ian McKellen, Patrick.
Disney's Animal Kingdom and Animal Kingdom Lodge have once again earned their Association of Zoos and Aquariums accreditation. To become accredited by the AZA, you must be evaluated and measured against the established standards in the industry. It is not something that can be renewed. Any zoo or aquarium seeking this title must reapply and be fully evaluated every 5 years. Less than 10% of licensed animal exhibitors have earned the AZA accreditation. A quote from Vice President for Animals, Science, and Environment at Disney Parks, Mark Penning: AZA accreditation is the gold standard in animal care, and I'm incredibly proud of the entire Animals, Science, and Environment team for earning this stellar accomplishment. As a side note, it should be noted that nobody involved in Tiger King have earned the AZA accreditation. What?
I mean, it doesn't seem like it. No, they would not have.
You didn't think I would be able to insert a Tiger King joke in this episode, did you?
You managed to do it.
Listen, talent. That's all we got here.
They may have received a TMZ accreditation. Patrick.
Yes, Adam.
There hasn't been a ton in the world that we've had an opportunity to celebrate recently.
It's true. It's very true.
But this week, we actually do have something to celebrate. We have the anniversary of Disney's Animal Kingdom's opening.
It's true. It's not only the anniversary of the Animal Kingdom, it's also Earth Month right now, and Earth Day specifically.
Yes, both Earth Day and Disney's Animal Kingdom's anniversary fall on the same day, April 22nd.
What a coincidence.
It's almost like they planned it that way.
I bet they didn't. I bet it was just a natural coincidence, Adam.
And you had the very bright idea of saying, hey, Adam, how about we actually celebrate Animal Kingdom this week? How about we do a Fab Five based on Disney's Animal Kingdom to celebrate the park's anniversary?
Well, I'm very wise, and you make me sound very nice, too. What actually happened was I woke up and said, Adam, this is what we're doing. I don't care what you think.
And then you virtually slapped me.
I did. I sent you a slap TikTok. Just kidding. I'm too old. I have no idea how to use that.
What's a TikTok? So we're going to take this opportunity in our feature segment this week to celebrate Disney's Animal Kingdom. We're going to be listing our Fab Five faves throughout the park. That means we're going to be listing our 5 favorite things from number 5 to number 4 to number 3 to number 2 to number 1. And it can be anything, Patrick. It can be attractions. It can be experiences. It can be food. It can be whatever you like.
I'm so glad that you let our listeners know how numbers work in that last sentence, Adam. It was really well done.
I didn't go to Sesame Street U for nothing.
This was a really hard list for me to make, actually, because there's so much I love about Animal Kingdom, and we left it broadly open on purpose so that it could be, as you said, anything in Animal Kingdom. So it was tough to narrow down 5 of my favorite things.
I agree. And this is the first time we've done this, where we've taken a park and just kind of opened it up and said, you have free reign. It can be your 5 favorite anything inside this park.
That's exactly right. Usually we're a little bit more narrow-minded here on Gaze GDTD, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that is the exact way I would describe us, as narrow-minded.
You and all of our Tweedledees would describe us that way, I assume.
Patrick, I do have an admission to make before we start.
Can I guess that you listed more than 5 things and you're making it a top 10 list?
You know what? You're wrong. Take that. I actually have narrowed it down to 5 things. I have 5 things listed, but what I wanted to admit was that normally I like to be very prepared and have some kind of like anecdotes or facts about the things I'm going to be mentioning. And this week with work and some personal issues, I didn't get around to it. So I basically just have a list of 5 things and really nothing to expand on it. So you're going to be getting from me a lot of rambling, and I might just make up some facts about these things. I don't know where this is going to go.
Well, you making up facts is not new to the show, I would say.
Did you know Kyle Richards is in Escape to Witch Mountain?
Exactly. Case in point. No, I actually kind of did the same thing. I didn't really do a deep dive on some of these things. I just sort of listed what I love and a little bit of why I love them. So I didn't really expand too much. I myself am expanding in isolation. But I think that's a little different.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that you kind of faked your way through this assignment as well, because I wouldn't want you to appear more prepared than me.
Well, that will never be the case, Adam. That will never, ever be the case.
Oh, thank you so much.
You only get quality here on Gaze to the D. We are in isolation with nothing but time on our hands, and yet we cannot be bothered to do our homework.
No, in all sincerity, like this week at work just like picked up exponentially. And so I unfortunately had to toss the podcast aside and say, sorry, Tweedledees, you are not top of mind this week, but I promise I'll be back on track next week.
Speaking personally, and probably for a lot of our Tweedledees, no one ever really expects you to come prepared to these episodes.
Good. That's the way it should be.
That's right. Just set the bar on the ground, basically. There's no reason to raise it.
All right, Patrick, here we go. Our Fab Five faves in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Do you want to kick us off, or do you want me to kick us off?
I can start us out, Adam.
Fantastic. Give me your number 5 Fab Five fave in Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Well, as I am wont to do, I am going to start out with some food, Adam, in the Animal Kingdom.
Good for you.
Thank you. I am obsessed with the buffalo chicken chips that are found at Trilobites in Dinoland, USA.
Now, you're a fan of Trilobites to begin with.
I love that stand. They have it's a really limited amount of snacks that they have, but all of the snacks that they do offer up are really delicious, specifically the buffalo chicken chips. Have you had them before?
I have not had them.
Oh my gosh, they're so good. They're perfectly baked and seasoned chips tossed with some barbecue chicken, tomatoes, onions, and this really delicious white quote-unquote cheese sauce. It is so delicious. They are about $8.50, I think, and they're enormous, so you could absolutely share them with a friend. I would never do that. I only eat them alone. This is hands down one of my favorite treats, I think, in all of Disney World now, and I get them literally every time I'm in Animal Kingdom.
They sound amazing, and they sound like something I would absolutely be a fan of. We do need to mention Trilobites was the home of one of your Fab Five sweet treats, the Smoky Bones milkshake, but it's no longer there, correct?
Wow, that was really mean of you to say, Adam. Yeah, it is. I don't know why you did that to me, but it is no longer available at Trilobites.
R.I.P. Smoky Bones boozy milkshake.
That's right. Now I order actually 2 orders of the buffalo chicken chips to sort of like ease my sadness about the Smoky Bones bourbon milkshake.
That's called eating your feelings.
Oh, it is. I'm quite good at it now. I've really mastered that in isolation.
You're preaching to the choir, Patrick. I have discovered that melted ice cream is a condiment for cake.
Oh, listen, normally I would make fun of that, but I fully relate to it.
Well, that sounds like a delicious snack, Patrick. Or, I mean, it could be a meal, right?
Oh, it's absolutely lunch, basically.
It sounds delicious, and I can't wait to check it out the next time I'm in Disney's Animal Kingdom.
In the year 2025. Is it too soon?
No.
Too soon for that joke?
No, it'll be before that. It'll be before that.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
All right, well, moving on to my number 5 Fab Five fave in Disney's Animal Kingdom. I'm going big right out of the gate. I'm going with the attraction Dinosaur.
Ooh.
I love Dinosaur. I have always loved Dinosaur, but I have to admit it scares me. There's not many rides in Walt Disney World that actually terrify me, and this is one that does, because I have a fear of like giant animatronics, and when it's a giant dinosaur roaring at me, I piddle. I feel sorry for the cleanup crew, but that's absolutely true. I love the animatronics in this ride. I think it's incredibly detailed and a true thrill ride in Disney's Animal Kingdom. It's so well themed, and like I said, it's terrifying. It absolutely wakes you up and gives you a jolt and is not to be missed, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Do you get scared by the giant dinosaur?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised every time I go on that ride. something new jumps out at me that like I didn't expect. I don't know why. I've been on it a million times, but I absolutely jump and or scream when I'm on that ride.
I can point to like specific instances. I don't like the part where it's running alongside the car. I do not like that moment. I'm fine with the moment where it's standing beside the car and you get your photo taken. That's totally fine to me. And then, of course, the moment when the car kind of dives underneath the head of the dinosaur, that also freaks me out. So it's those two moments in particular that just really terrify me.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly scary ride, I would say.
And I've heard that they've toned it down quite a bit since it opened. Like it used to be a lot darker and kind of more erratic and kind of throw you around a little bit more. But I've heard that since that opening, they've kind of softened it a bit so that younger kids can ride it.
Oh, that's interesting. I am trying to figure out how it could be darker than it is right now. It's basically pitch black in some places.
So scary, Patrick. So that's my number 5 choice for Fab Five Faves in Disney's Animal Kingdom, Dinosaur.
Love it. Love it. I love it so much that I am going to include it in my list, Adam. It's actually my number 4 Fab Five favorite things in the Animal Kingdom.
Why do you love it so, Patrick?
Everything you just said, basically. It is just a really fun, unexpected moment. I don't want to say it's out of place in Animal Kingdom because it fits very nicely within Dino Land USA, of course. It's a wacky ride, kind of. You know what I mean? It's like, for those who don't know, you're basically on a Land Rover going back in time to save an iguanodon. Felicia Rashad is involved. I mean, it's just a hodgepodge of a ride, basically.
And why wouldn't Felicia Rashad be there?
I mean, bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. Yeah, that part of the ride tends to be a little dated. It's the pre-show that you see her in. But everything after that, like the whole experience, the ride itself, it can be really intense and really fun. It's a great experience.
For sure. It does a really good job of sort of disorienting you. You don't really know like which direction you're going to go or which direction you just came from. A lot of our Tweedledees will know that this ride is almost an exact replica of the ride track of the Indiana Jones ride in Disneyland.
Do you have a favorite between the two, Patrick? Is one more your bag?
I actually really love them both. I think even though they are very similar, if not the exact same track, they're such different ride experiences.
Yeah, in the Indiana Jones ride in Disneyland, there tends to be more stopping. There's like moments where the car completely stops. And I feel like in Dinosaur, you're just moving the entire time.
There is one fun fact that I always like to point out. So I think the story goes that the ride used to be sponsored by McDonald's. And when you're in the ride queue, there are these red, yellow, and white tubes that you'll notice on the ceiling with sort of some periodic elements listed on them. And it is a breakdown of what is actually in ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise.
They're chemical compositions.
Exactly. It's kind of funny. I love that little, not hidden Mickey, obviously, but just a hidden joke within the ride.
Did you know that if you reach into the pocket that's meant to hold your personal belongings while you ride the ride, there are actually packets of ketchup, mustard, and mayo in there?
That is fake news, Adam. That is fake news.
No, it's for if you get hungry on your journey.
You just want to eat some mayonnaise?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, fair. Isolation, man. I understand.
Patrick, I just told you that I'm using ice cream as a condiment, so anything is fair game at this point.
I have to say, nothing shocks me anymore, Adam. Not one thing.
All right, well, moving on to my number 4 choice for Fab Five Faves in Disney's Animal Kingdom. I've combined 2 because they're similar experiences. Don't hate. I've combined Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail and the Maharaja Jungle Trek.
I will allow it.
Thank you so much. I love both of these experiences because I feel like they truly represent what Disney's Animal Kingdom is meant to be and kind of what Walt Disney would have wanted had he known this park was going to be created. He loved animals and he loved sharing animals with people who wouldn't normally get to experience them up close. And so I love walking through these trails and getting to see the gorillas up close. I mean, you do get to see them relatively up close. I love seeing the tigers. I love seeing the monkeys and the birds. And it's a really peaceful experience too. You can kind of be contemplative and learn. There's always cast members along the trail that are willing to share information with you, or if you have questions, you can ask them.
It's true. It is such a peaceful experience. It's almost meditative, I would say, when you're walking through it.
Yeah, I could watch the gorillas forever. They are so human-like and fascinating to me. And when there's a baby gorilla with them, forget about it.
Oh, man, the baby gorillas are so adorable.
I also think these areas are incredibly well themed as well. In particular, the Maharaja Jungle Trek. You get to walk through ruins and there's flags posted, and it's a really beautiful experience on top of just being able to see the animals up close.
Yeah, it's sort of the best of the best when it comes to zoos, I would say.
Oh, that's so true, Patrick. A lot of times when I go to zoos, I feel bad. Like, I just feel that the animals are trapped or they don't have enough space. And I never feel that way in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Just like on the safari, too. I just never feel that the animals are wanting for space.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of helped by how much of an educational element they add to the animal experiences in Animal Kingdom. They do a great job of letting you know that what they're doing is purely based on conservation and education.
I once asked one of the cast members posted to the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail how much we're actually seeing of the space that the animals are allowed to inhabit. And she said that we see about a third of the space, and that there's 2/3 that we're not even aware of that the animals are allowed to roam in behind the kind of onstage area.
That's exactly right. Animal Kingdom itself is the biggest of all of the theme parks for Disney by a lot because of the amount of space they dedicated for the animals.
So that's my number 4 choice for Fab Five Faves in Disney's Animal Kingdom. It's a must-do, particularly if you have little ones. I think they will be obsessed with being able to see the animals so close.
Absolutely. Great choice for your number 4 Fab Five Animal Kingdom locations.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Moving on to your number 3, what is it?
I'm taking a big swing with number 3 here, Adam. I am listing Flight of Passage as my number 3 favorite thing in Animal Kingdom.
Never heard of it.
What can I say about this ride that hasn't already been said, probably by us here on the podcast in previous episodes? The attraction just never, ever gets old for me. And what the Imagineers have achieved here is absolutely mind-boggling, from the visual effects to the smells and scentscapes that they've created to just even the simulation of the banshee breathing while you're on the ride itself. It's all working together to really and truly make you feel like you are no longer on planet Earth.
It is an overwhelming, mind-blowing, beautiful experience. It's an emotional experience for sure.
Absolutely. I tear up every time I'm on that ride. I don't know why or what it's doing to my emotions, but for some reason it just makes me overwhelmed with the beauty that they're creating.
And I always want to hear about someone's first time riding Flight of Passage.
It's one of those rides that you can't really describe perfectly because I think everyone has a different emotional reaction to it. And so you can't really describe that to somebody until they go through it themselves.
It was so fun having Paul and Bart on the podcast. I believe it was episode 80 a few weeks ago when we were able to still be together in the same room. And to hear about their experience riding that ride for the first time, it just makes you feel all the exact same feelings you felt when you got to experience it for the first time. It is a phenomenal attraction, and one that is a favorite of so many people who go to the parks. In fact, now with the opening of Rise of the Resistance, a lot of people are claiming that that's their favorite ride. So there's kind of like this rivalry that's been established now of whether you're a Rise of the Resistance fan or whether Flight of Passage is your top ride in Walt Disney World.
That's a really good point. For me, I have to say, and this may be controversial, well, maybe not. I think the audience is split on this. I actually prefer Flight of Passage to Rise of the Resistance. Not because I don't like Rise of the Resistance. I think that ride is absolutely incredible, but the gimmick sort of wears off after the first time or the second time that you're on it because you're no longer surprised by what's happening. And that is sort of what makes that ride so amazing, is the surprise element behind it and the shock factor. But with Flight of Passage, I think, though it is the same ride every single time, there's so many things to look at, and the emotional, I'll say it again, the emotional experience that it's creating for you is so heightened that it just makes you feel joyful when you get off the ride every time.
And isn't it interesting, Patrick, that Star Wars, something we all grew up with and all have kind of a love for, or certainly revere, isn't it interesting that that ride, while amazing and thrilling, may fall second to Flight of Passage, a ride based on Avatar, which is a movie series that I would say probably isn't as beloved as Star Wars? And maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's the fact that we don't have as emotional a connection to Avatar, so we don't have those expectations. We just are able to fully enjoy the experience and let it be whatever it means to us.
Yeah, I think what you just said is probably quite accurate because Avatar, for me anyways, I guess I can't really speak for everybody, obviously, isn't a movie that I really care about. But for some reason, what they've created within that whole land is so beautiful, and I don't even really connect it with the movie. I just connect it with a Disney theatrical experience instead.
That's right. It's its own kind of thing, right?
For sure, for sure. So something interesting that they do with this ride in the queue, and I think they are probably doing it more and more with the newer rides, is that the pre-show video can change sometimes if they're experiencing a longer than usual wait with the ride itself. So sometimes you'll get a little more video or a little extra information, or they'll, for instance, redo the full body scan of everybody in the room, depending on how swiftly they're able to get people in and out of the ride itself. I think that's a really smart idea that they've come up with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are times when I've rope dropped that ride and kind of buzzed through that pre-show, particularly with the nerdy scientist guy who's like, and fly, that guy.
Yeah, sometimes it's so quick of a video that you forget how long the actual video is when they're experiencing longer wait times.
Well, Siva Ko, Patrick, great choice.
Thank you so much.
It's such a great choice, Patrick, that it's also my choice for number 3.
Uh-oh, we are overlapping a lot on this episode.
It's a phenomenal experience, and every time I go on it, I get emotional, and every time I go on it, I experience something I have not experienced before. There's just so much to see on that panoramic screen, right? Like you can look in any direction and experience something new.
It's true. I know that the word immersive gets thrown around a lot with this ride, but that is exactly what they've achieved here, is a fully immersive experience.
It is absolutely immersive. It's a wonderful attraction. Well, we're clipping right along, Patrick. We're already on number 2 of our Fab Five faves in Disney's Animal Kingdom. What's your number 2?
I've got a really beautiful number 2 for you, Adam.
God.
What? I am talking about Festival of the Lion King for my number 2 Fab Five favorite things in Animal Kingdom.
Stop what you're doing right now, Patrick. Before we dive into this, make the sound a giraffe makes.
Isn't it?
Perfect.
Thank you. I speak giraffe fluently, actually. What I just said was, you, Adam, in giraffese.
Aggressive giraffe.
Listen, that's all I learned. I only learned street giraffe, actually. No, Festival of the Lion King is probably my favorite show in all of Walt Disney World. It's truly a celebration of life. It's part Broadway, it's part Cirque du Soleil. For those who haven't seen it, the show basically invites you to join sort of 4 storytellers who are in the Pride Lands to celebrate Simba and all of the inhabitants of the Pride Lands. It's basically a musical review of The Lion King with amazing singers and dancers and acrobats and moving sets, beautiful lighting and beautiful costumes. And I'm always blown away by the giant animatronics of, what are they, Simba, Pumbaa, the giraffe, and the elephant. They're so expressive. It's shocking what they've achieved there. And they built them a long time ago, too, and they still hold up as really amazing feats of engineering, I'd say.
I believe those were built for a parade in Disneyland when they had like a Lion King themed parade there.
That's absolutely right. They were part of a parade sort of right after The Lion King came out, if I'm not incorrect in that statement. And then they shipped them over to Disney World to be part of the show. And then, of course, I can't mention the Festival of the Lion King without talking about the Tumble Monkeys, who are both incredible to watch and incredible to fantasize about later on.
Oh, come on. Come
What?
on. No, you're absolutely correct. Those are some fit fellas, and they are very flexible.
So flexible, and their costumes are so tight, and I so love that.
They are very talented in many, many ways. Yes.
I can confirm that. Adam.
I feel like I'm using the phrase I love a lot in this episode, but it's true. There's just so much to love in the Animal Kingdom. And I do love the Festival of the Lion King. recently, on the past few trips, I think I may have OD'd on the Festival of the Lion King. And I think that's something that we as Disney fans can do, right? Like we just become so enthralled by something that we want to see it again and again and again, or do it again and again and again. So I think I need to take a step back and take a break from going to see the Festival of the Lion King. It's not a bad thing. I still really enjoy it, but I think I need to let some time pass before I see it again. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but you're absolutely wrong about that. You should go see it every single time.
I know. I love it. It's a fantastic show. It's just one of those things where maybe the past couple times I've had a kid screaming behind me, or it was a really hot day and it was just a little too hot in the theater. I don't know what it was, but I just need to take a moment, take a breath, and maybe on the next 1 or 2 trips, just say, you know what? I'm going to save the Festival of the Lion King for the next trip.
I actually recommend using a fast pass for the Festival of the Lion King because getting a better seat just enhances your experience that much more. You can really become more intimate, I think, with the show because the performers are so up close then, and you can see their facial expressions and see how much fun they're also having. That being said, if you don't have a fast pass, still go see it. There isn't really a bad seat in the house, but in my opinion, sitting closer really helps enhance the experience.
For the Tumble Monkeys.
For the Tumble Monkey packages.
Well, that was an excellent choice, Patrick, for your number 2. My number 2 is not an attraction, although I am quite attracted to it.
Oh.
It is something I've talked about so many times on this podcast that people are probably sick of hearing about it, but I'm going to bring it up again. And it's the Nomad Lounge.
I am only surprised in that isn't your number 1 favorite thing in Animal Kingdom.
I mean, it definitely jockeyed for the number 1 position, but in the end, it fell to number 2. I love the Nomad Lounge. There I go again with I love, but it is the perfect break in Disney's Animal Kingdom, especially on those days when the sun is just so intense. It's nice to take a midday break, grab a snack, grab a cocktail. And while it does have indoor seating, there is that beautiful kind of balcony patio area with kind of lounge seating with couches and deep set chairs and tables. If you can grab one of those spots, it's an ideal location to take a break and have a cocktail and some food.
It's true. That patio that you're talking about is one of my favorite locations in general, I think, in Disney World. You really feel like you're absolutely on vacation when you're sitting there.
Right. And I know I brought this up before too, but with the hustle and the bustle, right? Like you might be running to attractions, you might be rope dropping. This is one of those places where you can truly relax and take a break and just decompress while still being on a Disney vacation.
For sure. It's so tranquil there.
One thing I really appreciate about Nomad Lounge is that their menu tends to change quite frequently. So they're always adding new things or taking things away. Some items that I highly recommend are the bread service from Tiffin's, which is delicious. There's also a beautiful charcuterie board you can get, which has a fantastic selection of meats. The last time Matthew and I were in Disney's Animal Kingdom, we had the Impossible Burger sliders. Those were quite tasty as well. I know they have bowls now you can get as an option. So there are food options that could satiate you and serve as a meal, or you can get snacks there too.
Yes, I fully recommend getting both the charcuterie plate and the bread service at the same time because they mix and match so well together.
And the cocktails, a lot of times cocktails on a menu or themed cocktails can be too sweet or too syrupy and just not that satisfying or refreshing. But I found quite a few of the cocktails on their menu at Nomad Lounge hit the spot just perfectly.
I would absolutely agree with that. And they also have a pretty extensive list of African and specifically South African wines that are absolutely delicious, and you should try them out if you are a wine drinker.
So that's my number 2 choice for Fab Five Faves in Disney's Animal Kingdom, the Nomad Lounge.
Well done. Well done. It makes you want to go there right now.
I know. Wouldn't that be nice?
Is it too early to start drinking wine? It's about 11:30 here.
The fact that you're even asking that, Patrick, come on.
It's true. I'm drunk already.
You love a breakfast wine.
Well, Adam, it's almost time to open another bottle of wine, so let's move on to our number 1 favorite things in the Animal Kingdom.
Let's do that. Patrick, give me your number 1.
My current, I guess, favorite thing. It's hard to say this is my favorite thing in the animal kingdom because there's so much to love there. But I listed as my number one, for this episode at least, the Kilimanjaro Safari.
Oh, those animals.
Those animals, though. So this, and it's even weird to call it an attraction because it's basically a zoo that you're going through, but it always brings a smile to my face, and I always learn something new on this ride. The safari itself is 110 acres in size, which is outstanding, and there are 34 different species living in it, from the hippopotamus to the rhinoceros to zebras and lions. It's absolutely incredible. But what's wonderful for me about this experience is that it can be so different every time you go on it, depending on what time of day it is or what the weather is like. It changes the way the animals are interacting with each other, which is so fun to see. So the ride is usually around 15 to 20 minutes, but it can be much longer than that, depending on if, say a stubborn ostrich gets in front of the truck and stops your ride, which has happened many times to me, or a giraffe just sort of like sits down in the middle of the road. It's pretty funny. But then, of course, what really makes this sort of a top-notch experience are the tour guides that are taking you through the safari. They're so full of knowledge, and it's clear that they have a deep love and care for these animals. Like I said before, I always learn something new while I'm on it, and I think it's so incredible what Disney is doing with wildlife conservation and education. I think that they are one of the best at sort of providing that experience for guests. For me, this attraction is really the heart of what Animal Kingdom is all about.
I agree. This is such a special experience. And you get to see, I guess, depending on the time and the day, so many animals while riding this, Patrick. It is incredible to be able to sit in that vehicle and just drive through the different sections and like see rhinos and hippos and elephants and lions. And at no time are you really aware of how they are confined to the spaces they're in. You just feel like they're able to roam freely around the attraction.
That's right. And it should be noted that many of the animals are actually roaming freely around the attraction. Like I said, the giraffes and the ostrich, they get quite close to you, which is amazing. But of course, a lot of the animals like the crocodiles or the lions, though it looks like they're just feet away from you and can jump in the car at any point, the Imagineering that went behind the architecture of the ride itself in keeping them at a safe distance is really outstanding. Like you said, you really don't realize the lengths that they're going to make sure that everyone is safe on this ride.
I'm always concerned that a rhino is going to bash the side of the ride vehicle.
That's a fair concern.
I feel like they are so close at any given time. When you see a rhino, it feels like it's just right there.
Speaking of, I got to go behind the scenes with the Up Close with Rhinos experience. Man alive, those are incredible, beautiful beasts of animals. They're just amazing. And getting to touch one and pet one was such an emotional experience. I highly recommend that if you are able to take that tour.
Well, that is a very worthy choice for your number one, Patrick. That was an opening day attraction. And when the park first opened, when there was no Asia section, it was quite small. And that safari was the attraction of all attractions. Everybody ran to that when the ropes dropped.
Part of what I love about Pandora being open is that I can go on the safari very easily now.
That's what Matthew and I did on our last trip down. You know, we had a fast pass for Flight of Passage, and we typically rope drop Flight of Passage to get to experience it twice in one day. But on our last trip, we said, you know what, let's go do the safari, and then we'll just use our fast pass for Flight of Passage and have that be it. And that safari was just a great experience to start your day in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, I think the best time to go is in the morning on the safari because the animals have just eaten and they have a lot of energy in the morning, especially, hot tip, after it rains, the animals are super active. So that's a really good time to go on the safari.
Plus, then you get to experience the Lion Wet T-shirt contest.
Who can forget that?
Well, that means, Patrick, we are at my number one Fab Five fave in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Do you have a guess of what it might be, Patrick?
My assumption is that it'll be Expedition Everest.
Your assumption is correct, my friend.
Hooray!
Expedition Everest.
It sounds like you're about to start a poem.
I am. Expedition Everest. Quite a coaster. Some say the moster.
Huh. You might want to work on that, but I appreciate the attempt.
Nope, I'm going to keep going. There's a Yeti. The Yeti's tall. Don't fall. down the Yeti's hole.
I'm not certain you know what a poem is.
I was trying more of like a beat poet style with that.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
How about I just talk about Expedition Everest instead? I'll just do that, okay?
Yes, please.
A fantastically themed coaster. It sets the mood right away in the queue when you walk through all the exhibits. It is a thrilling coaster. I mean, the backwards portion alone is like enough of a thrill, but then you, of course, have all of the drops and you have that magnificent Yeti animatronic who, even though it's still not working, is still an impressive sight to experience. And as Joe Rohde has promised, he will one day return to that Yeti and fix it.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Patrick, are you a front row Expedition Everest coaster goer or are you a back row?
I would say I am expedition versatile, Adam. I think they both offer really different experiences on the ride, but I do like it in the back on this one. I do like it in the back.
Wow.
How about you?
I'm the same. I don't normally like it in the back, but when it comes to a coaster, I really like it in the back.
Fair enough.
This was kind of a stepping stone coaster for me, so it will always have a special place in my heart. I used to be terrified of roller coasters, and this was kind of the first one that allowed me to experience both an indoor and an outdoor roller coaster. For some reason, indoor coasters are less frightening to me, and perhaps it's because they're usually dark and I'm not able to see where I'm going, so I have no idea what's coming. But this coaster allowed me to take the next step up where I could experience heights and drops and going backwards. And some of those moments were inside and some were outside. So, you know, it was a great stepping stone for me to kind of take my coaster love to the next level.
It's true. You're a real baby when it comes to roller coasters, Adam, but this one...
Not anymore. Not so much. I mean, come on. I'm doing pretty good.
That's fair. I'm very proud of you.
This is truly a feat of Imagineering and theming, and we absolutely have Joe Rohde to thank for that. This is an incredible ride and a thrilling experience, and one that I tend to do multiple times when visiting Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, it's true. This ride is outstanding. It almost made my top 5. Something about Animal Kingdom, though, is that there's so many wonderful things to enjoy there. We could have easily done a top 20 list, I feel like. But you're right, this ride is such an engineering feat. It feels like when you're going backwards, I don't know the science behind it, but it almost feels like you're going upside down as well for some reason. It's such a weird experience of being fully disoriented while you're on that ride.
Yeah, I love that feeling. As someone who has problems letting go of control, I have no control on that ride, and I freaking love the thrill of it.
For whatever reason, when you're going backwards, even though you're in the dark and can't see anything, I'm still closing my eyes and holding on tight to the handles. I don't know why. It's such a frightening experience.
I think that's smart to close your eyes, Patrick, because I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before. There are seams in the mountain. And so on a really sunny day, you can actually kind of look down and see track, like just a hint of track, and you get to see a hint of how high up you actually are. So close those eyes, Patrick. You are doing yourself well by doing that.
Fair enough. To that point, I love now that Animal Kingdom is open a little bit later, because going on this ride at night is such a different experience, and I love it. I highly recommend going on this ride in the dark. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it is a blast. It's dimly lit, but very moodily lit, and gives you just enough of a view, just enough of what you want to see. And of course, the drop at night, seeing Animal Kingdom before you drop. It's beautiful.
I love your use of the word moodily.
That is a real word. It's a real word, Patrick.
Agreed.
Well, there you have it. Our Fab Five faves in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Quite a list, Patrick, and a nice grab bag of what you can experience spending a day in Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Absolutely. Did you have any also-rans that almost made your Fab Five list?
I, of course, considered the Festival of the Lion King, and I considered the Finding Nemo musical, which is a beautiful show in the park as well. What about you? Anything else you were kind of toying with adding to your list?
For sure. As I said, Expedition Everest almost made the list. Finding Nemo as well almost made the list. As we said before, there's so many wonderful things about the Animal Kingdom. It's such a well thought out theme park. There really aren't many clunkers within it.
I agree. And on top of that, like on top of these things that we've listed, there's just the general atmosphere, which is so enjoyable and beautiful as well.
every inch of that land is so well thought out and detailed that there isn't really a bad spot in the park. Every single place you can find beauty in. I really love it. I love Animal Kingdom so much.
Well, we would love to hear what you love about Disney's Animal Kingdom. Are there attractions or experiences we missed? Places that you particularly like to stop to grab a bite to eat or a cocktail? You can reach out to us via social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast.
Or you can always leave us a voice memo or an email at info@gaysdothed.com. Adam, do you think the Tumble Monkeys are all in isolation together?
I think I saw a video on Pornhub that started out that way.
Oh, dear. Disney magic moments indeed. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Patrick.
Guess what time it is?
I'm going to use this opportunity to create another classic Adam poem. Quick D, ending the show, making them LOL. What the hell? Fun times ahead. Closing down GDTD with, and then heading to bed.
Well, one line in that poem was accurate, that we are closing down GDTD due to your poem.
Oh, no, come on.
Listen, Adam, I am very supportive of you and all of your life choices, but I cannot get behind that poem.
Fair enough. I'm not Shel Silverstein after all.
And really no one thought that you would be.
My sidewalk has ended.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Well, as we tried to say before, it is indeed quick D time. So we can probably start the comedy now, I guess.
Oh. I'm flipping the switch from professional poet to hilarious comedian.
That's a strong word, but okay, let's go with it. Let's hope for the best. So this week, Adam, we have decided to do Quick D Imagine Queering, where we select a Disney attraction at random and gay it up.
Who doesn't love an even gayer Disney attraction?
It's true. As we know, Disney itself is pretty gay. It leans heavily into a gay experience, but we're going to make it even more gay. We're going to make it light. We're going to make it bright. We're going to make it gay.
And I see, Patrick, you have pulled down your Chewbacca mug. You have opened his head, and inside his noggin are a bunch of Disney attractions on slips of paper.
It's true. I have pulled down both my pants and the Chewbacca mug.
You weren't wearing pants to begin with.
That's true. That's true. All right. Are you ready, Adam, for our Imagine Queering attraction?
I can't wait. Don't tolerate hate. It's not fate that I'm a poet today.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, that was something that happened. And now we are Imagine Queering.
Yes.
Oh, Journey into Imagination with Figment.
Okay, this is great. This is one that actually needs a complete overhaul, in my opinion.
That is a fair point. That is a fair point. Although it doesn't need too much gaying up, because as we all know, Disney only knows how to make gay dragons.
Oh, that's right. The Reluctant Dragon, Figment.
Mm-hmm. You could make an argument that Pete's dragon is a little bit gay as well. He's at least questioning.
Well, he's hanging out with Pete. I mean, he's not hanging out with Patricia, right?
I mean, when you're right, Adam.
So is it offensive if we rename him Fagment?
It is very offensive, but it's happened.
Okay, good. And he's already purple, so that's a win.
This is true. But maybe he should change colors. Maybe he should represent all colors of the rainbow, of the gay rainbow.
What a beautiful message you've just proposed, Patrick.
Well, I am very beautiful, Adam.
Maybe that's the whole attraction itself, is Fagment experiencing different parts of gay culture. So like each showroom is a different element of gay culture that we're seeing.
Starting with the Golden Girls, I imagine.
That wasn't where I was going with it, but I love it.
Okay, great.
I was immediately going to thrust him into a leather bar, but maybe we should start softer, not scare away the straights, and start with the Golden Girls. Golden Girls, shopping, cleaning his apartment fastidiously.
Experimenting with interesting hairstyles.
Are the tips frosted?
Do they match the drapes?
Scrolling through Grindr, which for a dragon would be called Grindger.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Brunch.
So many mimosas. He dabbles in a little bit of drag gun, if you know what I mean.
Oh, Patrick. Oh, Patrick. How adorable would Fagment be in drag? Full drag.
Full drag dragon. I love it. I love this idea.
Do you think he would wear one of those breastplates with like the realistic looking boobies?
100%. Figment is a boob queen for sure.
I'd like to invite Dreamfinder back into this ride. He was a part of the ride for the longest time and has now been removed from the ride. But I want to bring him back because Dreamfinder definitely seems like a bear. He seems like he'd be part of the queer community. And he always had his hand up Figment's ass, so...
Oh, boy. Oh, dear. To anyone who is still listening to our podcast, I'd like to apologize on behalf of Gays Do the D for this portion of the episode.
You know what? I don't apologize. No, I don't apologize. We are getting in your face. This is a queer gorilla revolt.
No, it's a dragon, Adam, not a gorilla.
It's a queer dragon revolt.
And then, of course, he ends his journey into gay imagination by exercising his right to vote, Adam.
I know you're being serious, and it's very sincere, but it got so serious so quickly. I was just literally talking about Dreamfinder fisting Figment, or Fagment, rather, and now we're talking about how important it is to vote.
Listen, the gay experience is all spectrums of the rainbow, Adam.
That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast, and submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you real soon.